What do you see as the role of the visual arts in a mass-mediated visual world?
Well, when I think visual arts, the thing that comes to mind for me, I don't necessarily think painting. When I think visual arts, I think of film. I think film is absolutely a visual arts medium, and the role of film in modern media goes to commercials and television and everything else, and I think it plays an important role in that, and music connected to it. Film and music go directly hand in hand, so I think that film would be one of my favorite visual arts, and the role that film has, it seems to be where trends get communicated. Again, and I'm thinking from film to commercials to television, it seems to be the visual way that trends, style, celebrity, fame, everything gets communicated through film.
With new communications and media technology, imagery is almost instantly available cross-culturally. Do you believe that this has a positive or negative influence on the industry? Can you provide an example?
I don't think it's a negative thing. I think that, again, tying music to a visual medium with the advent of cell phones and iPhones and iPads and everything, I think there's an unprecedented need for media, film, or for gaming production. I think there's an unprecedented need for that. Every little 99-cent iOS app that hits the store and is popular for a couple of months, most of it needs music on some level. It needs someone to make it, because the game designers aren't necessarily making it, no more than the designers are making art assets. They're making the game and the development of that game. So just like they need art assets, they also need musical assets. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think there's more opportunity now for music creators than there ever was. 30 years ago, game developers, the soundtracks were very limited, and it was a lot more akin to programming than it necessarily was composition. And so now there's a great need for it.
What popular images do you see that are frequently rechanneled throughout the entertainment industry?
As far as popular images, I'm not sure I could think of any specific images as much as I could see styles. I think styles get reformatted through the industry, or rechanneled rather through the industry. If I was to take example of like Batman and superhero movies, for example, you could see how Christopher Nolan brought in a new visual style to the Batman franchise. That was a departure from Tim Burton's view of the Batman franchise, which was a departure from the TV Adam West version of Batman. And I think that style has kind of permeated throughout superhero movies for sure. Even if you look at Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, you look at that film and compare the first one to the brand new one, The Amazing Spider-Man, with the first one without it, and it's a definite different vibe to it. And so I think that's an example. There seems to be this grittier, edgier vibe that gets rechanneled, and it kind of works its way through.
Who is or are your favorite artists, and or what is your favorite style of art?
I think my favorite style of art would be film, and that has to do with my connection to music and the role that music and film play very, very, very close together. So as a film, to choose my favorite filmmaker, as a kid, it would have easily been Steven Spielberg, but now I would say my current favorite director would be J.J. Abrams. I really like everything that he's done, everything from Cloverfield to the new Star Trek movie. He captures my imagination, the way that Spielberg did as a kid. And even though I'm older, and J.J. Abrams has a grittier style than Steven Spielberg did, compare E.T. to Super 8, for example, and there's a gritty, real rawness to it, I still think that it captures, like I said, it captures the imagination.
How has my knowledge of art or art history influenced my creative process?
I think that all art is interconnected. I don't think that any one art form exists in a vacuum and isn't influenced by other art. If you look at opera and ballet, those are all visual mediums that share a very close relationship to music, for example. And even there are pieces that are composed that are based on poetry or paintings as well. So I think they have always historically shared a commonality to it. And like I said, no art really exists in a vacuum. And I read there's a music history book created by or written by Roger Kamian. And what he does at the very beginning of each chapter, it's like a music appreciation book, but what he does at the beginning of each chapter is he kind of outlines what's happening historically, like politically and government. And then he also ties together and he outlines what's happening in the world of art at the same time that the music we're studying. So during the Baroque era, you can see what painters and sculptors are doing, and during the Renaissance you can see what's happening politically in the government and what's happening in other art fields. And they all have an influence, and they all share the same kind of artistic space and time. So I think understanding that and understanding who influenced your influences is vitally important, because when we create music, it is not without context. And so understanding the history of that context is vital and very important.